There are moments in history, in myth, where everything hangs by a thread, where a single act can cast the world into chaos or restore it to balance. But what happens when that light we rely on disappears, when the very force that keeps the world alive vanishes without warning, and no one can say when or if it will ever return? Today we'll journey into a story that begins with a world gone dark, and the struggle to bring it back into the light by the gods themselves. We're journeying into the world of Amaterasu. Welcome to the Lorekeepers Library. Hello Lorekeepers and welcome to the Lorekeepers Library. My name's Kayleigh and today I am guiding you through the story of Amaterasu, the sun goddess. We're delving a little bit far from home this time and we're going into the Orient, so I'm going to put a caveat right here. My pronunciation of the Orient is not the best, but we do a little thing here where we have a huge collection of myths and stories that we try and work through. And as we come across new stories, we put them into our book. And Chris picks mine and I pick his, and he picked me something from the Orient. So my pronunciation is terrible and I apologise right now, and I hope that I can do this story justice because it is actually a really good story. So let's get comfy and start, and you know the drill. Hit the like and subscribe button and let's get going. In the beginning there was light, radiant, eternal and all-encompassing. But even light has its shadows. The tale of Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun of Japan, whose birth brought warmth to the world and whose retreat into darkness plunged the heavens into chaos. But who exactly is she, and what does her story reveal about divine forces that shape the world? But we need to get into something here before we go into this story. Amaterasu's name means shining heaven or heavenly illumination. It reflects her role as a sun goddess, the one who lights the heavens and the world below. Her very name speaks to the brightness and warmth that she brings to the divine and mortal realms. You see, Amaterasu is one of the central deities in Shinto, the indigenous spiritual tradition of Japan. Shinto is a belief system deeply connected to nature, where the gods known as kami are seen as manifestations of natural forces. The sun is one of the most vital aspects of life. It's personified through Amaterasu's shining presence in the sky. And the sun, it holds a special place in Japan's culture. So much so that the country is often referred to as the land of the rising sun. The sun isn't a physical presence, but a symbol of rebirth, hope and endurance. So Amaterasu's story, it embodies the reverence of the sun. And she is both the literal and metaphorical source of the life and for the people of Japan. So her myth, it ties in deeply with Japan's Imperial family and their story. The emperors of Japan are believed to be direct descendants of Amaterasu, which gives them divine authority, and their connection to the sun goddess has played a role in shaping the culture and power of the empire for centuries. So in this episode, while we're exploring, we'll not only explore the key moments of Amaterasu's myth, but also the lasting legacy she has had on Japanese history, culture and religion. Her story, well, her journey through light and darkness is a powerful reflection of cycles of nature as well as the human experience. So let's start with the story. In the beginning, the gods Izanagi and Izanami birthed the islands of Japan and a host of kami, deities. When Izanami died, Izanagi travelled to the underworld to retrieve her. But upon his return, he performed a purification ritual to cleanse himself. And as he washed away everything and washed his face, 3 powerful kami, or deities, were born. Amaterasu from his left eye, goddess of the sun. Tsukuyomi from his right eye, god of the moon. And Susanoo from his nose, god of storms and the sea. Izanagi declared Amaterasu the ruler of Takamagahara, the high plane of heaven. She shone her light upon the world, bringing warmth and life. But her brother, Susanoo, known for his wild and destructive nature, grew restless and angry. He was ordered to leave the heavens. He demanded a final meeting with Amaterasu in order for him to do so. To prove his sincerity, they engaged in a ritual pledge-making, each producing children from each other's positions. Amaterasu took his sword and birthed a female kami, deity. Susanoo took her jewels and birthed a male kami. But peace was fleeting, as we would expect, and Susanoo's rampage began. He destroyed rice fields, defiled sacred halls, and flung a flayed horse into Amaterasu's weaving room, killing one of her handmaidens. Horrified and grief-stricken, Amaterasu fled into a cave, Ame-no-Uzume, the heavenly rock cave, and sealed herself inside, plunging the world into darkness. Without her light, crops failed, chaos spread, and the world grew cold. The gods, desperate, gathered at the cave's mouth to devise a plan, and the wisdom god, Omoiki-Kane, proposed a strategy. They hung a mirror in front of the cave, tied sacred jewels to a tree, and Ame-no-Uzume, goddess of dawn and mirth, danced a wild and rather vivacious dance on an overturned tub, baring her chest and stomping her feet. The other gods laughed uproariously, and a curious Amaterasu peeked out to see what would cause so much joy in a world without light. In that moment, the strong god, Taji Karo, pulled her from the cave, and another god sealed it behind her to prevent her retreat. With her return, light and order were restored, and Amaterasu resumed her place in the heavens. Later, to establish peace on earth, she sent her descendant, Ninigi no Mikoto, down to rule, and he carried with him 3 sacred treasures: the mirror that was used to lure her from the cave, the sword, later associated with Susanoo's defeat of an 8-headed serpent, and the jewel, symbol of divine authority. And these became the Imperial regalia of Japan, and Amaterasu became the divine ancestor of the Imperial line. So, you see, Amaterasu's story began long before her first rays really touched the world. Her birth was the moment of divine purification. But did you know Amaterasu's birth was known as a powerful reminder of the sacred connection between light, purity and creation? As mentioned in Shinto belief, light is not only a physical phenomenon but a spiritual force, an embodiment of purity, life and divine order. Her very existence was a blessing to the cosmos, and she was to be the deity that would govern the heavens and guide the sun across the sky. But as we saw, Amaterasu was not alone in the cosmos, and her siblings caused more problems than would be worth. But the sun still holds a special place in Japanese culture, and that's why the country is often referred to as the land of the rising sun. One of the most striking moments in Amaterasu's myth is her withdrawal from the world. Overcome with sorrow and anger, where she fled into the cave, so deep that the dark would take over and that no light could enter. With her disappearance, the sun vanished from the sky, leaving the world shrouded in an endless and terrifying night. And what's particularly fascinating about Amaterasu is her actions mirror human motions and grief and anger and ultimately vulnerability. While she is a goddess, her decision to hide in a cave can be seen as a response to a feeling of betrayal and possibly being overwhelmed. It's a reminder that even divine figures in Japanese folklore can experience emotions that we can all relate to, making her story even more profound. And this moment of darkness was more than just an absence of light. It symbolised a spiritual and emotional crisis in the heavens. Gods desperate to restore balance, that they could not accept a world without light. The peace of the cosmos being hinged on Amaterasu's return. And how could they coax her out of the cave? But whilst this was all going on and she was within the cave, the story also sometimes alludes to how in the mortal world darkness caused famine, illness and despair, and how people were left in a deep sense of unease, unsure when or if the sun would ever return, and how they prayed that it was in this time of greatest darkness that the gods rallied together to help restore their light, and to help restore Amaterasu and bring back light into the world. Many of the gods in Amaterasu's myth play roles that seem contradictory. Take Susanoo, for example, Amaterasu's brother who incites chaos, yet is also part of the cycle of renewal. There's also Ame-no-Uzume, the trickster, who uses joy to heal. These gods show that in Shinto belief, the forces of nature and the divine are neither good nor evil, but part of an ever-shifting balance. When they were coaxing Amaterasu from the cave, Moikane, the deity of wisdom, spoke words of great insight, suggesting that the laughter and joy of the gods were proof that something important and life-giving was about to unfold. And it is when Amaterasu peered out and her eyes fell upon the divine mirror held by Mikaboshi, which reflected her radiant beauty, that the mirror, which once had been a symbol of her radiant power, now acted as a beacon of light, drawing Amaterasu from the cave. It's as if Amaterasu, in that moment and in that reflection, saw herself not only as bringing light back to the world, and the world waiting for her to return, basking in the warmth and the beauty she could offer, but as something that could overcome all darkness. And the idea of dancing to restore balance within the myth isn't just a light-hearted moment that myth and ancient cultures believe. It's still seen today. Dance is seen as a sacred act that channels cosmic forces, and Uzume's dance symbolised the return of harmony not just to the heavens but also to the mortal realm. Dance as an act of creation and healing has long been recognised as a way to influence the spiritual world. And moved by the joy and laughter and the beauty before her, Amaterasu stepped into the light once more. So, what is Amaterasu's legacy and influence on Japan? Well, her return to the world marked more than just an end of a long night. It heralded a new era, one in which the sun goddess would play a central role in the lives of both humans and gods. You see, her story, full of drama, conflict and eventual harmony, would inspire not just the gods in the heavens, but the people of Japan for centuries to come. Amaterasu's impact on Japan extends far beyond the myth. She's considered an ancestor of the Imperial family, with the Japanese emperor claiming direct descent from her. This divine connection to the sun goddess solidified the emperor's position as the highest authority in the land. The Imperial family's connection to Amaterasu is an integral part of Japan's cultural identity, and in fact, the Japanese Imperial regalia, the mirror, the sword and the jewel, are said to have been gifted by Amaterasu herself, further solidifying her lasting influence over the nation. The mirror, which played such a pivotal role in Amaterasu's story, holds great symbolic significance. In Shinto, mirrors represent clarity, truth and reflection. The mirror that brought Amaterasu out of the cave is said to symbolise not only the goddess herself, but also the light and truth of an understanding it can show. And Amaterasu's influence can still be seen in the same way the sun is revered and the reflection shown in the mirror in Japanese culture. Not only is she the goddess of the sun, but she also embodies the natural world's cycles: birth, death and rebirth. Her constant rise and fall in the sky are symbolic of life's continuous rhythms, and the cyclical nature is central to many aspects of Japanese belief and practice. Shinto shrines are dedicated to Amaterasu, such as the Ise Grand Shrine, one of Japan's most sacred sites. They are focal points of worship and reverence. These shrines, like Amaterasu herself, are symbols of the sacredness of nature and the divine presence in all things. Pilgrims visit these shrines not just to honour the goddess, but to connect with the natural world and reaffirm the sacred relationship between humans and gods. And the shrine is a site of profound spiritual significance. It's said that the shrine is rebuilt every 20 years to maintain the purity and renewal of the site. This practice of reconstruction symbolises the Shinto belief of the cycle of life and death, and it reflects Amaterasu's own theme of renewal and rebirth. So beyond her direct influence on the Imperial family and religious practices, Amaterasu's myth has inspired countless works of art, literature, and even modern pop culture. Her story continues to be retold in new and creative ways, from theatre and literature to anime and video games. Amaterasu's enduring presence in these mediums is a testament to her deep connection to the human experience, a symbol of light, hope, and the internal struggle between darkness and illumination. So there you have it, the story of Amaterasu, and I am again very sorry for my bad pronunciation. I will try to work on it as we go forward, but I hope you've enjoyed delving into this subject as much as I have, and definitely a nice insight into Japanese culture. And I think I'm going to add the shrine to something on my bucket list to go and visit. So until next week, when Chris will be back with a new subject, I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I would like to thank you for sticking with me to the end of the video. If you'd like to leave a like and a comment, why not let us know what subjects you'd like us to cover, and you never know what we'll dig out of the archives next for you. So until next time, continue to explore the world with wonder.